Funding for Greater Chattanooga is provided by EPB Fiber Optics and Kelly Subaru.
I gotta have my hands busy, so I always have done something, whether it's knitting, crocheting. I used to do a lot of county cross stitch. Got totally addicted very early on.
If you can put two pieces of fabric together and sew a straight line, anybody can make a quilt top.
It certainly isn't fun to do it by yourself. We have a wonderful group of ladies, and you can go to a therapist if you need to, but we think that quilting is just as good therapy. We get together, we share our hearts with each other, we care about each other. I've got to have something that's finished. I have to know ahead of time what I'm going to do with that. To make it without having a purpose, to me, is not enjoyable.
And if you can pass on that joy to somebody else, why not? Let them enjoy it. I went into the military back in 1984, fresh out of high school, and so I was a combat medic, and then I went up to Walter Reed, and I worked with a lot of the soldiers that were coming back from the initial Desert Shield, Desert Storm there. So I knew at that time, you always want to give back because you see what others went through that, you're associated with.
You really get drawn to each other and dependent upon each other as a team. So I think that team is what people miss in the transition. And then feeling like you're making a difference, I think, is exactly what the problem is out there today. And you see it in the statistics of suicides going up over time. You see it with PTSD.
The suicide rate of soldiers coming home is much, much higher than the mortality rate in battle. No man or woman who goes off to war comes back the same. Occasionally, and plenty of them do, come back with injuries that are on the outside. But many of those come back with visions that they've seen that they can't put together with the world that they live in right now. They're struggling and they're hurting.
We defend our country, foreign and domestic, when we're in the service. So we're all touched by war in some way. I wanted to help those individuals because I know what it's like.
Quilts of Valor is a national organization. It was founded in 2003 by a gal named Catherine Roberts. She was a mom, had a child in Afghanistan at the point. And it's grown. We've got over 10,000 quilters nationwide now. What we want to do is that we want to provide healing and comforting quilts to those who have been touched by war. You don't have to be in combat to be touched by war. They're not just passed out, they're not gifts, but these are something that are awards. This is an award from the American people. Joe, we thank you for what you did for us. We appreciate it.
It's no mystery to the local people here that I was reluctant to receive it, and I would only receive it on behalf of all the soldiers, sailors, and airmen that I have served for and with. It really meant a lot to me individually.
It is a privilege to serve honor and comfort upon you through the award of this Quilt of Valor. Though we may never know the depth of your sacrifice to protect and defend the United States of America, as a gesture of gratitude from a grateful nation, we award you this Quilt of Valor.
A lot of hands have touched this that they didn't know me at all. They didn't even know my name, but they took the time and the energy to create something, and then eventually it got to me. To me, it represented a thank you from the community. The biggest problem with transition is believing that you still can make a difference and that others really care.
I always let the recipient, speak, because sometimes at that point the recipient is willing to come out and speak about their time in the service.
Your Quilt of Valor. This is your story.
I've talked to my wife some, but you just can't open up completely. I have a friend that I named my son after because we lost, and I have a tattoo with his name, and he was also a firefighter. So Operation Enduring Freedom 2009, August 6, 2009, and it's just hard to tell her what happened, it's you just can't tell anybody anything. It's something that's gonna be there with me, till the day I die. I think about him all the time. It's just so many good people die.
Take this Quilt of Valor, start letting out some of the issues that, you can't talk about it to others. Sorry. You can't talk about it to others. If the Quilt of Valor can help you tell that story, we're overjoyed that the comfort and healing of that quilt has allowed you to open up and tell your story to individuals or family members.
It's fulfilling. The meaning of it just really is tremendous. These people dedicate their time, their skill, their service. They honor us as veterans and those 1% that have served in the military, so it means everything in the world.
All of us that are making these Quilt of Valors, we think about, what the recipient may think about when they receive this quilt, what we're thinking about when we're doing it, that we're giving it our love, that we want somebody to have it. Sometimes we cry over them when we make it. It just depends on what that individual that's sewing it goes through when they're making it. And I think we're needed to take care of our veterans some more, to let them know that we do care about them, because after all, that's why we have our freedoms that we have.
They've given of sometimes a couple years, sometimes 20 years, sometimes 30 years of their life to keep me free, to keep me being able to do what I want to do and live in a country and attend a church and be able to be proud to be an American. And I think that they deserve it. They deserve to know that what they've done hasn't gone in vain.
This thing called service is bigger than the veterans themselves. It really is all about the community. It really gets back to the fundamental questions of why do you serve? You serve for others. Quilt of Valor is really part of that patchwork of fabric that supports that transition for that serviceman or woman.